Hello everyone, thanks for being here today. I'm here to kick us off and welcome all of our partners in this room. Today we have the Governor's Office, MNERD, Energy, Minerals and Resources Department, and the Environment Department of the state, as well as the City of Albuquerque and some of our friends here at the Mid-Region Council of Governments. I'm happy to welcome our lovely Mayor Keller to kick us off. Thank you.
All right. Well, this is a great group of folks who are here. Let me just get that set up today, and so about all the work we need to do with respect to climate change and resiliency. So first, just I want to thank everyone who's here and for the work you do each and every day. And I know we were talking a little bit about, climate change it's important to remember because it's obviously international and global, but it's also local. And that's really, that piece of it is what we control. That's what we can work on each and every day. That's what everyone who's here today is dedicated to. And that's what this grant and this program is really gonna actually help. And so we know we're more powerful when we work together. And we also know that there's really no future in general without climate resiliency. We know internationally it's things like seawater rising and things like that. We know here it's like whether or not we have a ski area in the Sandias. Or on a more serious note, the forest fires associated with bark beetles that are now deforesting and creating more firewood, and then the mudslides that are associated after with that. I mean, we have all these examples even locally. Even the Sonoran Desert creeping up. When I was a kid, it was like in Socorro. Now it's like right outside of Albuquerque. So we see these examples actually all around us. Even right here in New Mexico, and of course, the examples with respect to even the things like the bark beetle, that has to do with snowpack. And so the snowpack, it's not just skiing, it's also water in the Rio Grande, which then waters our crops. I know everyone here understands that. I just want to throw out a few examples of how these issues are, of course, global, but they're also local, and we see them every year when we see the Rio Grande dry up just south of town. So these things are all related, and we're in this together. And that's why this collaborative effort is so important. So for us, we're excited about the EPA grant. We're going to get some funding to actually work on this issue regionally in the different regions associated with the Central COG, Mr. COG as we like to call it, which of course is the metro area counties, and that's in collaboration with our partners at the state. And of course, our sustainability office in Albuquerque, something we formed about 7 years ago. And I think, Ann, are you speaking soon? Okay, but our sustainability officer, Ann Simon, round of applause. And of course, thanks to the folks past, present, and future who've worked on sustainability. I know we have some that used to work at the city and now work at the state and so forth. But it's been a tremendous effort and in many ways caught Albuquerque up to what other cities are doing with respect to climate change. Now, we also know that we are working on what we're trying to do at the city level, whether it's energy conservation through our BRAIN program, which is this very cool piece of technology that measures all of the energy loss and energy efficiency in every city building. Or it's our commitment to be 100% solar, to actually say that, look, as a city, we are net zero. And we're at about 92%, and we're working on a plan to get us all the way to 100 in the next few years. And we keep buying more buildings, so that actually has like pushed out this deadline and the percentages. But it's a reflection that we're committed to this even while we grow. And so when we do things like build the Gateway Center, yes, that is also going to be part of our climate change solution here in Albuquerque. So we're also going to be working, of course, with Torrance and Sandoval County. And for us, this is really a way to deliver, I think, on that promise of Albuquerque for our families in terms of the next generation, being a great place to live that also includes a place that is climate resilient and a place that is healthy for everyone from all walks of life. So with that, I get to introduce the next speaker. And wonderfully, we both had a very rare experience because almost no one from America went. But we went to COP29, which is, of course, the Climate Action Conference out in Baku, of all places. But it was awesome. I remember on the plane heading out and wondering if anyone from New Mexico was going to be there. And then, of course, I found out our state was well represented by Travis Kellerman. So let's bring him in.
It was a rare experience being out at COP29, and it brought a lot to light about New Mexico's role. To echo some of the mayor's sentiments, climate change is a shared responsibility. It affects all of us, and it affects some of us more than others. The state of New Mexico and our response to this, especially under this grant program, the planning stage now, requires this plan to be comprehensive, and that's part of the title. It's a comprehensive climate action plan. We need to include our tribal partners, work between governments to create solutions, to integrate all the feedback from communities into a plan that serves all of us. This multi-governmental approach allows us to reach in and really listen, and that's the role in this phase. This is a strategic planning phase. We have to listen first before we make assumptions. Now, as we develop this beside partners like the city of Albuquerque and other tribal governments in New Mexico, there's a lot to be said for the state of New Mexico's role within the U.S. Climate Alliance. This isn't just about New Mexico, it's also about the U.S. and our role internationally as a state. Under the U.S. Climate Alliance, the alliance was formed in 2017 when, during that first Trump administration, the federal government was pulled out of the Paris Agreement. Well, the member states of the U.S. Climate Alliance stepped up and stepped in, and we're doing that again. As our governor stated, we are not backing down. We're staying committed to climate and action that causes increased and measurable reductions in greenhouse gases and all the other focused climate areas. Now, we've done a lot here in this state. And in addition to being part of the U.S. Climate Alliance and also being a co-chair of that alliance, the governor in 2019 introduced the Energy Transition Act, which has some ambitious greenhouse reduction goals. That includes a 45% reduction by 2030 and reaching net zero by 2050. That's going to take a lot of serious, dedicated new strategy and effort because New Mexico is the second biggest oil and gas producer in the U.S. So we have a very specific role in developing a new model that can affect global energy supply chains. That means New Mexico, if we clean up that industry, and especially in regards to methane, continue to reduce methane and those health impacts in our communities, that creates a new model for other countries, other areas, other states in the world to adopt and use to scale down their emissions as well. That leadership is important, so it's not just about New Mexico. We've started to phase in new oil and gas regulations to that end. Our methane waste rule, our ozone precursor rules, these protect human health at the community level, and they also prevent waste of oil and gas resources which directly connect to greenhouse gas emissions. That continued reduction is a core priority of the next few years. And as we ramp up oil and gas production, it becomes an even bigger more important priority for New Mexico to set a new standard. Recently, we passed our Clean Transportation Fuel Standard, and that allows us to target clean fuels and reward those who produce them within the state and for export. We've also introduced and implemented clean cars and EV charging tax credits. We've augmented and changed our residential and commercial building codes. And in particular, one thing the governor has led on across the US is conservation and implementing the Land of Enchantment Conservation Legacy Fund. We need to protect our natural and working lands, not just because of beautification efforts and because they are a source of tourism and support for many communities, but also they act as a carbon store and a sequestration for carbon. In the wildfires of the last few years, as devastating as they were, using our carbon monitoring system, we determined that we only lost about 0.5% of our total carbon store, which is also an opportunity with proper forest management to rebuild and regrow that forest to sequester even more carbon and adapt new practices across the state in collaboration with partners at the community level. We've done a lot, but there's a lot more to do. Next week, we have the release through our Environment Department of a new greenhouse gas inventory that measures what we've done, where we're at now, and where we're going to go, with the most accurate picture yet of how we stand on greenhouse gas. And again, as we ramp up production and as continued production increases in oil and gas, that's one of the key priorities and focuses for mitigating the damaging effects within that industry as we generate and export energy. If it happens here cleaner, it would happen somewhere else in a much more damaging way. So that's a core responsibility for New Mexico. We'll also be able to see where the problem areas are with that data and continue to set a new standard on how we look at progress and who we talk to get real updates in real time from communities that are affected by climate change. Our goal is to work alongside our tribal government partners, our other subnational partners like the city of Albuquerque, because the role of subnationals is extremely important now, especially over the next 4 years. We have to lead in a way that the federal government can't. Economic development is critical. The new green jobs that will be created in the next few years based around infrastructure, clean energy production, transmission, geothermal development. We now have support in our state for moving to a clean, firm source of energy like geothermal, which uses existing oil and gas skills from that industry. It's a direct energy transition move. So with that, I want to pass it back to Alice to talk more about implementation and measures that are happening here in the city of Albuquerque.
Thank you, everyone. Today, we're really gathered here to celebrate progress, connection, and action towards a resilient future for all. So, under this climate pollution reduction grants program that the EPA has provided all of us is really a reflection of a broader movement happening across the U.S. So for the first time in U.S. history, governments representing 97% of the U.S. population are partaking in long-term planning under a single mission, and that mission is the Climate Pollution Reduction Grants Planning Program. This is a non-competitive grant that was awarded to 207 entities across the U.S., and here in New Mexico, we have 6 entities leading the charge on how we think about, plan for, and adapt to extreme weather and climate pollution, while also uplifting frontline communities. That's pretty cool. So what's really exciting about that is we have a committed state that has received these funds. We have the Environment Department, and who is supported by the Energy, Minerals, and Resources Department, who are really going to be leading the charge on how to tackle the state's biggest climate pollution sources. We also have several tribal partners, including the Navajo Nation, Sandia Pueblo, Santa Ana Pueblo, and the Pueblo Consortia of Tesuque, Nambe, Pickrete, and San Ildefonso. And these groups can really ensure that the voices of Indigenous, tribal, and frontline communities are really centered in this work, and that we really strive to uplift everyone in our community, starting with those that are going to get hit first and worst by extreme weather and climate pollution. Then finally here, us at the city, we're really proud to be the recipients of this program because it's really unique. Most people, or most metro areas in the US are led by the Council of Governments, but in this particular instance, the city of Albuquerque is the one that's really leading this charge. Part of the reason why we're at the COG today, the Mid-Region Council of Governments, is because of this lovely map. Here you can see the geographical area that the city is going to be facilitating this important work in. We have Bernalillo County, we have Valencia County, we have Torrance County, and of course, Sandoval County. And together, we really want to ensure that the voices of all of these communities are represented in this initiative to ensure that we really charter a path forward for a resilient future for all. You know, maybe that's increasing local food systems. Maybe that's amplifying our local agricultural resources. Maybe that's bringing, you know, reliable, clean, comfortable living environments to all of our families. And that's why we're here today, is to really open this up as a call to action. We're really excited to invite you all under our a campaign called the Resilient Futures Initiative, which is really a year-long initiative to build local capacity to plan for, adapt to, and mitigate extreme weather and climate pollution. And you can all participate now. We've just launched our website under the resilientfuturesnewmexico.org. There you can go and sign up for a newsletter. You can sign up to volunteer. You can also RSVP for an upcoming event. You can also get a sneak peek at our the initial results of our climate pollution inventory and just learn more about ways to engage. And we really hope that you join us in this work. And if you're not in the metro area, we really hope that you participate with the other organizations, because we're all in this together. We all have to create the same data sets, and we're stronger when we work together. Thank you everyone for joining us. Please stand for questions.
Okay.
We did a good job.
Thank you so much for coming.